Hello there! I'm Scotty. You're not welcome to a very impromptu review series. It's so impromptu, I don't even know I'm gonna put this up on the channel. I don't. Uh, this happened because yesterday, on my birthday, when I'm recording this, I went over to my friend Brandon's place, to hang out for my birthday, and he had me look through his movies, and he let me borrow both The Hills Have Eyes remake and its sequel. So, being as he's let me borrow them, I figured I better do reviews on them. But to do that, I have to go back and review the two Wes Craven films of those names. So we go all the way back to 1977. The Hills Have Eyes. And literally, there's only two actors in this movie that I can recognize: Dee Wallace and Michael Berryman, and they're on different sides of the story here. The story of this movie is that family is traveling to Los Angeles, but they are taking a detour to look at this silver mine because it's the parents' silver anniversary. And while they do that, they're attacked by these mutant cannibal redneck people. Yeah. Clearly the inspiration for movies like Wrong Turn. So, yes. And this movie starts very confusingly for me. Because it starts with this guy, Fred, who owns this gas station. And he's talking about, oh, they'll get you. They'll get you if they know you're going to leave. He turns around and there he sees this woman, Ruby. Now, we find out that these cannibal people are named after planets, mostly. There's Papa Jupiter, his wife Mama. That's all she's credited as. Their children, Mercury, Mars, Pluto, and Ruby. Obviously, she should have been named Venus. This is the only female-sounding name. Mercury is too, but Mercury's a guy. Why is her name Ruby? Why name all the other kids after planets? And then get to Ruby and be like, nah. Just name her Ruby. I don't want to name her after planets anymore. I know it's kind of stupid. But this whole scene of Fred, who we find out later is actually her grandfather, interacting with Ruby, is played off as if we should know who these characters are. And there's previous story, there's a movie that came before this that explained a bunch of stuff, how these two are connected, and we should already know who they are and what their connection is. It's very weird. I'm sitting here watching this, I'm going, why does it feel like we should know who these people are already? Doesn't really make too much sense to me, but when? I don't know. From then, before he can take off, the family shows up. And the family shows up and starts talking about, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to go there, to the mine. The whole thing. And the guy tries to tell him, hey, you don't want to go there. There's no silver in there. Those there mines anyway. You just go. You just get out of here. You go a different way. You don't need to go that way. You don't need to go there. He's basically telling him, don't fucking go that way. Get the fuck out of here. That whole basic thing. But they don't listen, then they take off. And then, I don't know, we're supposed to be led to believe that something's going to happen to Fred, which sort of does. But as they drive along the road, they end up with a flat tire and have no spare for some reason. Just no spare tire, So after this, the oldest son, Doug, the husband of Dee Wallace's character, and the dad, they decided to go off in separate directions. Doug going forward to see what's forward and what's up there and where it leads to, and then the dad, Big Bob, going back to the gas station to talk to Fred. So this takes a while, and so the second eldest son, the youngest son, I guess you could say, Bobby, Bobby, named after the dad, I guess. Bobby is put in charge. I like his joke where he's like, all right, what's the joke? I'll put you in solitary or something like that. Yeah, he's put in charge. Done, whatever. And right away, one of the dogs, both named Beauty and the Beast, Beauty runs off and he chases after the dog. The dog gets attacked and eaten off screen by the cannibals, but we see the bloody dog. Apparently, it was a real dead dog that they used. They didn't kill the actual dog, but it was a real dog carcass. Okay? This was the 1970s after all, but you know. Just so this clearly distraughts him is when he finally returns at night. He's a little out of it, and he just wants everyone to stay, in the thing. Dog returns, and he, says, I found a junkyard. You didn't find the mine? Isn't it supposed to be that way? The mine, I don't think ever really comes into play. So I don't think so. But you found a junkyard with some stuff that is used later. But meanwhile, we follow Big Bob as he gets back to the gas station and finds Fred trying to hang himself because he thinks it's Papa Jupiter that found him, and he lays on a whole backstory for us. And I have an issue, not with the backstory. It's a humdrum, typical backstory for this. He and his wife had a daughter already, and she was pregnant. And she gave birth. The baby came out sideways, which doesn't happen. She's like, "Oh, it came out sideways and you tore my wife to pieces." And I'm like, no, it doesn't happen. You know how I know? Because my brother was sideways in the womb, and they had to give my mom a C-section to cut him out. So if they got to the hopsicle, they would have done the C-section. This is 1970s, but I don't think they would have let the thing be born. But it came out hairy and stuff, and so the child killed the daughter, and then so he hit him in the face and split him open, and then left him in the desert to die. But he didn't die. He grew up, and he married a hooker, and they have weird babies in the desert, apparently. And my problem with this is that he tells the dad, then the dad ends up dying. Like the dad, like they attack the Papa Jupiter and the cannibal people. They attack. Fred is killed, and then by the time the dad makes it back, he is set on fucking fire. And this whole story with the cannibals is never relayed to the family at all. Nothing. So quite simply, the only reason why that story was shared was so that the people at home, people watching this, the viewers, would know what happened. That's all it is. Exposition to tell the people watching the movie what actually happened. It really had nothing to do with our main characters. It's telling one of our characters, but Big Bob dies, and I was confused though because the wife starts going, "It's not my Big Bob. It's not my Big Bob." She looks at me and goes, "It's not my Big Bob. It's not my Big Bob." Okay, so it's not him. But then Bobby's like, "Okay, so Paul's dead." I'm like, "No, your mom just said it wasn't him." Clearly, I missed the fact that she is hysterical, and it was actually him. I thought maybe it was Fred all burnt up, and they thought it was the dad, but she's saying it wasn't. No, she was just hysterical. By the way, this is probably one of the most annoying movies to watch. It's not a bad movie by any stretch of imagination, but the character of Brenda just won't shut the fuck up. She's constantly fucking screaming, and it's annoying as hell. I don't know, that adds the realism because that would really be what happens, but So, before the dad gets back though, Doug comes back and he's okay, let's just get to bed now. Let's get to bed, Let's get to bed now. And but Bobby's like, why don't you just sleep in here in the camper on the floor? No, don't sleep in because you know something's out there, but they don't listen. And so, in the middle of all this, with the dad still not back yet, one of the dogs is missing. There's other stuff going on. I think both the dogs missing at one point. One's dead, one's missing. Beast is missing, but that was obvious. But the problem is, all this stuff is going on. They're stranded in the middle of nowhere. Dee Wallace and the mustachio guy, Doug, are just gonna fuck in the station wagon. Until Bobby shows up and was like, hey, but then place is attacked. Dee Wallace is killed because Mars, I think it's Mars. Mars and Pluto attack. They kill Dee Wallace, and the mom's all fucked up from this point. She's lost it. And they steal the baby. And that's the main thing. They steal the baby. The dad turns up roasted. By this point, the mom's lost it. And so they steal the baby. And so Doug goes off the next day to take the baby, to go try to fit with Beast to get the baby back. Leaving Brenda and Bobby behind to defend the camp, which they do try to do. And I think they end up killing, was it Mercury? Yeah, Mercury. I think Mercury takes it. At one point, Pluto, who doesn't die in this, he gets his heel bit by the dog, but he doesn't die, I don't think. Because I think he's in the next one. But, yeah, eventually, he gets, try to find the baby. Ruby takes the baby, because when they find out what happened to Pluto, they're like, okay, kill the baby, because they're going to eat it. Kill the baby. And so, Ruby takes what they think is the baby out, but it's a pig. And then has the real baby and brings it to Doug. Because she's been established to being a good one, even though she doesn't do much in this movie. Not like at all. Besides this. But that's cool. Anyway, so, yeah, and then Doug hides the baby so he can fight off Mars. Papa Jupiter gets knocked down or something. I don't think he gets. Is he the one that gets messed around with at the camp? I don't remember. But basically, the final battle here is Doug and Mars, because Mars hears the baby and starts to go after it. He's like, "Oh no, we shouldn't let the baby laying around to cry." And the final shot is he's just stabbing the fuck out of Mars. Just stabbing him, and then it just goes red, and that's it. It's the end of the movie. And it's like, originally there was going to be a happy ending where everyone got together, and, happy, family comes back together, and they're happy that they're safe. But, no, they just went for this kind of dark ending, which, for a horror movie in the 70s, it kind of fits. Have this, not a dark ending, but it's just like an abrupt ending. But this movie wasn't that bad. There is a long stretch of time at the beginning of the movie, like 30 to 40 minutes, where there's just nothing happening. We're walking around and talking as we get before the bad stuff happens. Like, once they get stranded, you think, okay, they're screwed. But there's still a lot of nothing at this point before something actually happens. And this is a nitpick, but I thought Dee Wallace would do more in this movie. She's been in better horror films. She's had better roles in horror films, I should say, than this. She did more in E.T. than she did in this. And her E.T., she's barely in E.T., but she did more in that than this. She's just there. And yes, this was early in her career, but, it's fine. You could tell the budget wasn't that much. They reused props from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're in the middle of a desert, so obviously there was no sets really. And The gore is minimal, even though the trauma is plenty. But, yeah, I would give this... I'll give it a middle of the road. Give it a middle of the road. It's probably not one I'm going to go back to, but, you know, it's a middle of the road for sure. So, what are your thoughts on The Hills Have Eyes? No comments below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.